Every 8 days, a Briton travels abroad for help to die. I'm travelling to Lancaster to meet one of those people, looking to take control over their own death.
I don't want to die. I do not want to die. I want to live with an acceptable quality of life to me for as long as I possibly can.
Assisted dying is legal for the terminally ill and sound of mind in Switzerland, Canada, parts of Australia, and 7 American states. Here in the UK, though, helping someone to end their life carries a jail sentence of up to 14 years. But there's a fight raging over who gets to decide when life ends. At its core, the question, should we be able to choose our own time to die? Alex-Pandolfo has early onset Alzheimer's. He's 64. His plan is to travel to Switzerland later this year, where he'll be helped to end his life. Alex called into my LBC radio show in March.
Good morning, Nick. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's just 4 years ago, and it was a decision that I took almost immediately, having watched my father suffer.
There can be no decision with more gravity than whether or not to end your life. Since speaking with Alex, I've wanted to find out more about what informed his decision and how that choice is affecting the remainder of his life. Alex.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
You too, thank you for
Williamson Park.
It is indeed, yes.
Tell me about the park. Tell me why. Alex is a colourful character. A self-proclaimed hippie, he was expelled from school at 14 but became an academic after winning a scholarship to Oxford to study economics and law. He's travelled the world and has spent many years fighting for workers' rights as a trade unionist. But over the next few months, Alex's Alzheimer's will mean he will become increasingly confused and disorientated. Eventually, he won't even recognise himself in the mirror. What's the toughest part of daily life with your condition?
I still feel trapped. I can't just get up and decide to do something. I've got to put measures in place for things like that.
Do you ever find yourself suddenly going somewhere and you can't quite work out why you're there?
Well, yeah. I've been to Carlisle in the last 2 months about 7 or 8 times. I've been on a train by myself and forgot to get off at Lancaster. They're getting used to me now. Just sign my form and send me off.
Here he is. He's come
He's come again. Here's the lunatic.
What was it that made you think there seems to be an issue here?
I couldn't read properly. I'd be reading something and thinking it doesn't make sense, and I just wasn't following what was going on, so that set alarm bells off.
How do they give you tests then to discover what condition you had? What did they do 4 years ago?
There was maybe 4 or 5 things it could have been other than dementia. I got a referral to the memory clinic. A consultant was there and 2 nurses. So when you go to a consultant and you see more than, the consultant there, it's not the best of news. So I sat down and he said, we've done your assessment. For a man of your ability, I would have expected you to score far higher than you did do. But it was well below the national average. When then we looked at your brain scan and you've got Alzheimer's.
What did the doctor or the specialist say about the length? What is your prognosis?
The prognosis was 4 to 5 years to live. Although
That's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll meet here in 12 months and prove them wrong.
Make a date, make a date. I'll bring the champagne.
Definitely, yeah. So 4 to 5 years to live, although you could live for 11 years, but certainly after that 4 or 5 year period, then you won't know who you are or what's going on around you. As soon as I can't cope and be independent in the life living, then I don't want that. I don't want to go into a whole folks home. It's not for me. I don't want people here 24 hours a day doing everything for me. It's not the kind of quality of life that I want. I cared for my father for 5 years. I gave work up for 5 years and I cared for him. It was something that I learned from. It's something that I got great value from, but it was something that I didn't really want to see my father going through, and he didn't want to go through it. My dad would be hitting me. My dad would be abusive to my mum. My dad would be taking his clothes off and trying to get out of the house and everything like that. And it's not what he'd want, and it's not what I'd want, and it's not what anybody wants in life.
No. And did he have moments of lucidity when he would say to you, son, I just wish this would end?
Yeah, plenty of times. He'd always say, you said you'd sort this out for me, you said you'd help me. I'd have done that and gone to prison gladly. And it's the same as my mum now. My mum comes round and pleads with me. I know where you're going, can't you get me there?
Alex clearly isn't afraid of dying, but he believes he should be able to end his life here, in the home he's lived in for the last 25 years, with those he loves around him.
When I got dementia, there's a couple of things that they recommend, and I thought, well, they're worth a try. And one is to keep photographs, not just for the sake of them. I mean, there's lots of nice photographs I could have put up, but those that have some kind of significant meaning, which helps, it's like interactive symbolism, really. You look at it, and the idea is it's not just the photograph, but it triggers off the memory of everything that was associated with it. Walking, music, I've always featured really highly in my life. I love both. I'm unable to walk any longer because I can't be trusted to walk down Penny Street, never mind let loose on the mountains in Switzerland or Scotland or anywhere like that.
Alex, thank you for inviting me to your home.
You're welcome.
My listeners or the viewers will listen or see you. You are more lucid than many people I interview. Many, many people. They're thinking, why? What would you say to them?
What do you have for your breakfast?
Me? I had eggs.
I can't remember what I had for mine.
Right. How are you going to determine when you take your final flight?
When it becomes increasingly more difficult for me to communicate on a one-to-one basis, once it becomes impossible, occasionally I've got in the shower. I know why I've got in the shower, but I just can't figure out how to start that process. And that's been once. I think when things like that start happening a couple of times a month, then I think it's an indicator. I probably wouldn't be ready to die then. I could probably live longer, but I daren't chance losing capacity.
And explain why that is, because when you get to Switzerland, you have to satisfy a doctor that you are of sound mind, effectively. Is that right?
I'm physically able as well, yeah. So the part of the criteria is that you are aware of what's happening, so you have capacity. You're still in such a mind that you can make informed choice. Because it's assisted dying, you have to administer the drugs yourself. So you have to have the physical ability. In my case, it's an intravenous drip, which is set up on my arm. They do a practice run, which is saline, that goes through. But then there's a little switch on it, and I've got to make sure that I can pull the switch down so nobody is actually killing me. It's exactly what it says. They've assisted me in providing the facilities and the prescription.
What do you think your mood will be at that moment?
I really don't know. I thought about it a lot because, as bizarre as it might sound, I've had to actually practice doing that, knowing that that's the last thing I will do. So I've had to practice that. I think I'll be happy, as weird as that might sound. I'll be happy that I've had control. I'm happy that the dementia's responsible for my death, but I've chosen that time, that hopefully I've managed to remain with the dignity that I wanted to do, and I've made that final choice. So in control, perhaps, is the best way.
What would you say to the lawmakers who make it necessary for people like you to go to Switzerland or elsewhere to end your life in this fashion?
I think it's criminal that the law's not changed. I think it's criminal that a small minority of people can afford to take this choice. The vast majority of the people in this country who are the most socially and economically deprived haven't got that choice. It needs to be legalised.
How much is this informed by what you saw happen to your dad, who didn't have that control?
It's very strongly informed by what I watched my dad go through. It's strongly informed by what I'm currently watching my mother go through. She was sent home 2 years ago at the beginning of May to die. She got days to live. She just lay in the bed all the time. She can't move, doubly incontinent, can't wash, can't get up, struggles to eat.
What's the last thing you're going to say to your mum before you go?
I hope my mum's dead before then.
What if you leave it too late?
That would be awful. That would be really awful. It's to think that I could be abusive, physically, verbally.
This is what you saw with your dad?
Yeah, and I've seen it with other people. To think I could be physically abusive to not only to people that that care for me and support me, but people that are trying to help me. The paranoia that comes with it is unbelievable.
And how will you guard against that then?
The only way I can measure it is like I've said, I've got to look for deterioration and and repetition of that deterioration. I have to assess and reassess and reflect. I don't want to die. I do not want to die. I want to live with an acceptable quality of life to me for as long as I possibly can.
What do you imagine it'll be like?
The end. Probably the best trip I've ever had in my life.
Who's going to accompany you? Do you know?
I've made a deliberate decision not to ask anybody, rather than put somebody on the spot like saying, well, do you want to come? Because that's kind of putting pressure on somebody perhaps to do something that they don't want.
I'd never asked this of anyone before. I can't imagine I'll ever ask anyone again. Can I come to Switzerland? Can I accompany you?
Of course you can, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. As long as you don't wear a Leicester City shirt.